and Philadelphia has it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to DSM Pregame Live, Sixers T-Wolves edition, streaming to you here exclusively on DSM Media's YouTube channel. Guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you check us out at DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button first and foremost to check out all of our great content. But while you're over on the page, make sure you check out the link tree in our bio. It'll take you to every social media platform we are available on. Like this video, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications for every time we go live here on the DSM Media YouTube channel. I am one half of your host, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. To my right, my co-host, Scotty. You can find him as well at Scotty Drown. My man, Sixers coming off another victory against the Indiana Pacers. They are now 3-0 versus the Pacers on the season with one more remaining on the year, but it was the first part of a back-to-back that they have scheduled on the road tonight. And you and I mentioned on last night's pregame show how not important it wasn't that must-win type of feel, obviously, against a team like the Pacers, but it was important to keep the energy high coming off the high of all highs, right, against the Milwaukee Bucks on Saturday night. They did exactly that. Did the defense look perfect? Absolutely the hell not. You're missing Tobias Harris. You're missing PJ Tucker. Two guys from your starting five are out, but Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, 20 assists, Joel Embiid, those guys were great. Jalen McDaniels, which I'm sure you're going to talk about here in a moment. The Sixers start off the first half of this back-to-back in impressive fashion, more so offensively, but nonetheless, they get the job done.
Yeah, and I think when you're in a game like this against the Indiana Pacers, who are the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference, right? They're not even in the playoff picture as of right now. And they do have a young star in Tyrese Halliburton who can take over games, as we saw last night. He had 40 and over 15 assists. So anytime you're playing a team like that, you just want to come away with the win, in my opinion. You're on the road. It's one of those games, like you said, that it isn't like a must win. There isn't a ton of motivation that goes into this game aside from just wanting to build some consistency within the season. And that's what they were able to do. You know, I wanted to mention Jalen McDaniels. He was thoroughly impressive, even blew out my expectations yesterday. And I think it's more or less, it's not that he's like over the top or he's the next star of Philly, right? It's not like he's this next star wing. It's more or less that he can do simple things at an efficient manner. And I think that finishing around the rim, it looks so easy with him, but our other forwards can't do that. They cannot finish around the rim like he can. Just specifically, we saw that one acrobatic layup. We've seen put-back dunks from him at this point. So he brings a different facet. And I'm not trying to say that, you know, PJ Tucker and Tobias Harris have to spend a ton of time on the bench for Jalen McDaniels. It's not that. He just adds a totally different facet to the team. Because the reason I say that counterpoint, I think people are going a little overboard. I think they're going a little too extreme, saying that it's mandatory that he must start over Tobias Harris. I don't think
classic Philly fashion.
Yeah, it's just an overreaction. I've said maybe he would fit in the starting lineup. Maybe it's something they should try, but I don't think it's something that's mandatory. I don't think it's like championship contending changing, right? At the end of the day, Tobias is going to get those minutes. PJ is going to get those minutes in the playoffs that they deserve. So, I was thoroughly impressed nonetheless by him. But yeah, no need to overreact. We do that way too much.
I mean, it's classic, right? Because the second that Doc does it, and then he comes out and has a 4-point on 2 of 9 shooting and bad defense type of night, they'll be screaming to put him back on the bench.
Right.
I think the term "different" that you used is perfect because there's all this talk since the trade happened, and obviously who we let go, Matisse Thybulle. He starts knocking down threes in Portland. He's having a 20-point night. He looks great, and people bitching and moaning and complaining about the trade and why players can never do that here. Not that Jalen McDaniels is head and leaps and bounds above Matisse Thybulle as a basketball player, but what he brings to this team is different. That athleticism is different. The scoring around the rim is different. They're probably going to shoot the 3 around the same percentage, so you're not losing anything there. He's not as good of an on-ball defender as Matisse Thybulle is, but he's longer. He's more athletic. That brings a different value to this team. You mentioned the starting role. It's so interesting because to me, I don't know how you do it. PJ Tucker to me brings nothing of value off the bench. I know people want to scream and freak out and say put PJ to the bench. He's not going to bring you anything offensively off the bench, right? And what's he basically in there to do? He's a guy around Embiid and Harden and Maxey and Tobias who doesn't need the ball because he's not going to score, plays defense, and can try to be gritty for you on the glass and force turnovers. So bringing PJ Tucker off the bench does nothing for me. Then you have Tobias Harris. Money shouldn't matter. It matters. They're not going to, with 15, 16 games left in the season, just say, hey, Tobias, max contract player, you're coming off the bench because Jalen McDaniels scored 20 points in one game
against the Pacers, right?
So he was awesome last night. He brings something of value. He brings something different to the Sixers. His minutes definitely need to be elevated above the 12 to 13 minutes that Doc was giving him off the bench. But no, I don't think you're moving him to a starting position right now. Tyrese Maxey, on the other hand, I think is permanently back in the starting role.
Yeah,
even
he's got to be.
And PJ Tucker do come back. The kid, that whole week stretch where you and I were coming on here talking about why doesn't he look as comfortable around Embiid and Harden? Why is he not as aggressive when they're on the floor with them versus without? He's starting to get a little more comfortable. He's looking pretty damn aggressive right now. So those were just two things I noticed about the rotation last night. Lastly, out there, Paul Reed. I mean, the Montrezl Harrell experiment seems done with. It seems over. Paul Reed kind of looking more comfortable as well, right? Bring some athleticism off the bench.
Yeah.
Good performance last night.
Yeah, I thought all around Paul Reed played well. And I think he's solidified that he at least deserves the rest of this regular season to figure it out, right? Like we'll figure it out with him at backup center. Daniel House, another guy. He's playing well, man. The two opportunities that he's had in the last few games, he's really shown out. Played with energy, right? I've saw him. He plays really wild. He plays kind of
sporadic.
It's very unique and unorthodox the way he plays, but it is effective when he's on and when he's playing with energy. So I love seeing that. Back to the Maxey thing. I totally agree with you there. I don't even think I need to add anything else with that. He deserves to be in the starter. He plays better beside James Harden. I think that's clear as day. Him beside James Harden is the X factor that we need at Tyrese Maxey to be. Jalen McDaniels, I think we just need to look at it from a more futuristic standpoint. What that ultimately showed us last night was that next season you want to move forward with Jalen McDaniels. Maybe he can be a starter. We've seen what it looks like with him in that unit, right? And now you try to trade Tobias Harris on an expiring contract. But like you said, we're too deep into the season. We talked about like building chemistry last year with getting James Harden with 21 games back. Well, this is similar, except this guy isn't James Harden. He doesn't have that IQ. He doesn't have that feel of the game that, say, a James Harden would to get just this supplemented amount of minutes as soon as he gets here. So we just need to take it easy with him, keep increasing the minutes, and I think we look more towards the future for that. But Tobias Harris, you don't want to take him completely out of what he's been doing all year either, right? And PJ Tucker, same thing. So
correct. And with Tobias, like that. While there's been lulls in his game at times where he scores 4 points against the Heat or whatever the case may be, he has kind of defined that role and he has grown into a damn good catch and shoot 3-point threat from beyond around Harden. So I wouldn't mess with any of that as of right now, especially not with like 17 games to go. The last thing I would look at before we get into this matchup with the T-Wolves, James Harden, man, man, this guy wears a lot of hats, right? You had the 20-point performance against Milwaukee where he's hitting about 15, I'm joking, but 15 parking lot threes down the stretch. He's getting to the rim. He scores 38, right? Last night.
20 points in the fourth quarter.
Last night, 20 assists. I mean, when is the last time? Listen, what did we love early on in Ben Simmons' career? Like, even when he would only average 16, 15 points per game, the passing and the ability to create for others. This dude just had 20 assists. 20.
Makes it look easy.
Let that settle in for a second. So he's able to find different ways to win. Last night's game maybe called for something differently than the game against Milwaukee did down the stretch. He realized that. He fed Jalen McDaniels. He fed Joel Embiid. He fed Tyrese Maxey, who was hot from 3 early. And that's what worked last night. So James Harden realizing that he can play multiple ways for this team and still bring value each and every night and affect winning has been a really big positive.
I wanted to check to be sure because I knew it was definitely true at some point last night, but he had 20 assists and 1 turnover last night. Like, what the like a 20-1 turnover assist ratio. Like, are we assist to turnover ratio, I should say. Are we joking, man? Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. I don't even know what to say about it. 20 assists and 1 turnover in this game.
It's unheard of.
38-10 and 2 turnovers in the last game against Milwaukee, the best team in the NBA. So I mean, yeah, he's playing lights out, and it's turning into a conversation where it's like, who's the MVP of the squad, right? Is it Harden or is it Embiid? Because Harden does so much for the offense and passing and in the scoring, obviously, but he's played pretty decent defense as well. He averaged north of 1 steal per game, but then Embiid, obviously, we know what he brings to the table. So Harden, man, been very impressive. He's questionable for tonight with that left foot soreness. Probably deserves the night off. Quite honestly, I'm not even upset.
I don't care.
Yeah, give him the night off.
You're down PJ, you're down Tobias, second half of back-to-back, sit him, right?
Yeah.
I don't need any
the perfect
injuries,
game to do it.
Let's get into this matchup tonight, man, because it is an interesting one with the T-Wolves. They're 34-32. They're kind of fighting for some for a playoff spot low down in the Western Conference, kind of that play-in type of team, right? Yeah. Anthony Edwards is ridiculous. We know that. Rudy Gobert, Joel Embiid type of matchup tonight. My main focus, can the Sixers be fresh enough to pull out this win? That's my question mark. Do they have fresh enough legs after the grueling start of this schedule, all those close games they played in the first 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Then it's your second back-to-back already. This is the second half of this back-to-back. Can they be ready to go tonight? What are you kind of looking at in this one?
So it is a tough one, right? On the road in Minnesota. Yeah, I saw Phil's comment there. Can't watch. Don't worry, Phil. You're not the subject of the show today. I didn't see you hating too much last night, so we'll let you breathe. But no, this is going to be a tough one, just because of the situation. Not even counting in who Minnesota is as a team, but they have won 3 in a row. So they've won against the Kings, Lakers, and Clippers. So the Kings, obviously the 3rd seed in the West. The Clippers are who they are. They've been playing kind of down lately, but still a decent win. And then the Lakers have been playing much better with those additions after the trade deadline. So 3 decent wins, I would say. They added Mike Conley at the break, so that's an interesting fit compared to D'Angelo Russell. He's definitely not the heater as far as like a scorer that D'Angelo Russell would be, but he is a guy that can spread the ball around. He can get hot from the 3-point line if you let him. So Sixers definitely need to come with energy tonight. And I would say my first key to victory tonight, Dylan, against this Minnesota Timberwolves team, talked about Mike Conley, but it's really about Ant Edwards, right? He's the guy that can really light you up, take over this game tonight, score 30, 40 plus points if you let him, if you're sleeping like you were last night against Tyrese Halliburton. So what I would ask for the Sixers to do, a key to victory, turn him into a jump shooter tonight. You're going to have to pick your poison with a player like this tonight on a tail end of a back-to-back. You're down a few guys, right? It's not just one, it's a few, most likely. So turn him into a jump shooter, make him one-dimensional, and if he starts to fall in love with that jump shot, maybe he hits 1 or 2 early and then he falls in love with it. That's probably a good thing. It's better
Best
than
case scenario, right?
Him getting our guys in foul trouble, right? We don't need Embiid in foul trouble on a night like this. So yeah, that would be my first key to victory, is just kind of controlling Ant Edwards, because you weren't able to control Halliburton last night.
I like it. My first key, again, I'm going to go back here with the fresh legs, and it's something we discussed last night. Controlling the pace, controlling how this game starts, right? You look at pace, Sixers 26 in the league, T-Wolves 3rd. Young, energetic team at home. They want to get out and run. The second half of back-to-back, the Sixers are going to have to control the pace of this game, at least for the first half, if they want a shot at pulling away with a win in this one. The Sixers are obviously the better team, but if you're missing all these guys second half of this back-to-back, as I keep alluding to, you're only going to win so many of these games, right? So if the Sixers can find a way to feed Joel Embiid in the low post early on against Rudy Gobert, who Remember, Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert? No. So I look for the Sixers to control pace, and then 3-point percentage. Sixers second, T-Wolves 17th in the league. Now, it's not a wide margin, but the T-Wolves shoot under the league average as a team from 3.
Yeah.
If they can win that battle, if they can control pace, if they can control the glass, which I know they are going to struggle to do at least some point in this game, the Sixers have a damn good chance of escaping with a win.
Yeah, no, I love that point. I think it's a good idea to get a lot of threes up tonight, especially on the tail end of a back-to-back. And to your point, making sure that they win that battle. I'm actually taking a look here because I was looking at the odds just to see if they updated, and they actually took Embiid down. So
wow,
I'm curious if something was updated there.
Let me check Twitter.
Yeah, see if we should have the starting lineup by now. It could be because James Harden is out, possibly.
I don't have anything yet.
Let's start in lineup.
No. Well, wow, okay. PJ Tucker is warming up with the expectation to play. So PJ could be back tonight.
Interesting.
Tobias, I'm assuming no, obviously.
I hate nights like this, man. It makes it really tough on us to really dissect this game because obviously, if Embiid's not playing, on
James Harden will not play per Keith Pompey.
Okay, which I figured that. I kind of calculated that in. So maybe they took Embiid down just because Harden's out.
Possibly.
Maybe they needed to adjust his numbers.
But regardless,
I'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. Yeah. It changes everything, right? If you don't have Joel Embiid. My second key to victory kind of feeds off your point, just as far as energy, getting threes up as well. The bench mob, they played really well. Last 2 games they've really stepped up. This is a night where they're obviously going to get even more minutes, I would imagine. The roster dwindled down, no James Harden. So guys like Daniel House, right, that stepped up. Shake Milton has been quietly playing really well, right? He's been letting it go from the 3-point line, which I love to see. So I think on top of just playing with energy, those guys specifically coming in and doing their job, George Niang's of the world, coming in and hitting a few shots, hitting some threes tonight. I think that's a big part of it. And then just attacking Rudy Gobert early. I would attack his chest. I would go into him early. Like you said, once again, playing with energy, going at Rudy Gobert, that renowned defensive player of the year, and getting him in foul trouble. Get him out of there. He is a defensive anchor. He is a good shot blocker. So let's get him in foul trouble and get him out of the game. And that's another advantage that could go the Sixers' way when they're a little undermanned here.
Yeah, no, my last key kind of goes off of your second to last point there, and that was the others. But I'm going to take a step further and say go to the youth. And a night like this,
I like that.
If you go back a couple months when the Sixers were down the big three, right, and Tobias Harris was also missing a little bit of time, and we saw D'Anthony Melton, and we saw Shake Milton, and we saw Daniel House and Paul Reed, and all these guys step up and actually hold down the fort and win a handful of games over that stretch and have a winning record, right? Tonight's a perfect example of that, except you have Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. So if I'm Doc Rivers, you might have PJ Tucker back. That's not going to change anything offensively. You're without James Harden. You're probably without Tobias Harris, I imagine, right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
Shake Milton gets run tonight. Jalen McDaniels gets more run tonight. I'm feeding D'Anthony Melton the ball a little bit more tonight. I'm letting the youth show up tonight, alleviate some of that pressure and energy off of Embiid, because I don't know how much of it he's going to have early on. Yeah. So the youth can kind of step up early and then let Embiid bring you home down the stretch in a close game. That's kind of what I'm looking for tonight. I don't need to see Embiid have 14 in the first quarter. Now, it's great if he does, if it's contributing to the win. But if Embiid has 7, 6 in the first quarter, he only takes a handful of shots. And then the second half, when it's a 5, 6 point game, you start to feed Joel Embiid because the others were able to keep you in it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point here, just about Joel Embiid tonight and his role in this game. And I think there's two different ways this could go, and it could go Joel Embiid just getting fed all night, right? Maybe he's on his way to another 40-point game tonight, back-to-back 40-point game, maybe. But there's the other end of it where you maybe take it easy on Joel, right? Maybe tonight's not where you push him out there 35, 40 minutes when you're down a couple men to have him give out extra exertion, right? And an extra effort that maybe he wouldn't have to give out if Harden was there tonight. So I don't think you need to go for the Superman effort. This is the last game of the road trip. I think that's something else I wanted to put out there is, you've done well, right? You've kind of proven your point, and I'm not saying go out here and lose. We never want that, right? Like, don't go out here and lay down, but it's not the end of the world if you lose, and maybe
you're correct. You
can get
nothing to prove
early
tonight.
rest if it's not going your way. Like, I'm not against that tonight. With the way this road trip has gone, and you're heading back home Friday. That's something to look forward to.
You and I had a conversation literally 24 hours ago right here on the stream, and we talked about the importance of winning a game like last night for the fan base, because coming off that high against the Bucks, if they lose against the Pacers, it'll be classic Sixers beat the Bucks in that fashion, then turn around and lose to the Pacers. You handled that game. You handled that business. You turn around 24 hours later on the road. I will be surprised, and this says a lot because you know how crazy and toxic our fan base can be on social media. I will genuinely be surprised if there's people freaking out about a loss tonight. No Harden, no Tobias, back-to-back, on the road, pretty good T-Wolves team, young T-Wolves team. If they lose this game and there's people pulling their hair out and talking about Doc and Joel's energy, I will lose my mind if I see people upset.
Yeah, this should be a game. I don't want to say like a scheduled loss or an expected loss, but if there was one that existed, this is
why do you think
like,
James Harden isn't playing tonight?
Exactly. Because he's shown what he can do at his ceiling the last 2, 3, 4 nights since the All-Star break, right? Every game
he's really that sore, or is it a little bit of a, hey, James, your foot hurts
fourth straight road game. Let's take it easy tonight, James. That's exactly what I think. And at the end of the day, if they come away with this one, I think it's a very impressive win, honestly.
On top, if they're able to do that, right? It's even more impressive. But yeah, nonetheless, this is not by any stretch of the imagination like if they need to win this game. Stop. With that said, man, let's get into our probably favorite segment of the day. Guys, if you don't, you guys should check out our best bets every night. They're posted on the TikTok account after every pregame show. We went 2-1 last night for a profitable night. We're looking to do the same, if not clean sweep this one. Our best bets of this T-Wolves Sixers game. We're starting with Tyrese Maxey. I mentioned the fountain of youth earlier. He was on fire last night against Indiana. Without Harden, he's going to have the ball in his hands more. He's going to have to set up this offense, but I look for Maxey over 23.5 points tonight against the T-Wolves at -115. Going into enemy territory, as Scotty mentioned earlier, if you got to live and die by this dude making jump shots, that's what you turn him into tonight. But Anthony Edwards is probably going to get his a little bit tonight. The Sixers struggled defensively last night. I cannot imagine their legs being any more fresh tonight. Anthony Edwards over 26.5 total points at -105. And then Joel Embiid. This is a little different for us. If you notice that little UN under 11.5 rebounds at -135. He has not hit this total in how many games? The entire month of February, correct?
Every game this month in his last 3 games. So, yeah.
Yeah, so Joel Embiid has not had that many rebounds. We know what Rudy Gobert can do on the glass. Second half of back-to-back, I know I talked about a lot. Joel's not going to be probably in any mood to be crashing the boards. I'd be surprised.
That's where I'm at.
So, Embiid under 11.5 rebounds tonight. Those are our best bets.
Yes, sir. I love all of them. Obviously, Maxey, he's in a groove right now. And he is the young guy, as you mentioned, that's going to have to kind of lead the way tonight. I shouldn't lead the way. Embiid is going to be there, but he's the other guy that's going to lead the way. No Harden tonight, so he'll have a ton of responsibility. And Edwards, the thing with Ant Edwards is we've seen some monster games put up against us of late. Anywhere from you could go to Tyrese Halliburton last game, Before that, it was Giannis. You even had Brooke Lopez. You had somebody else. Drew Holiday had 26 in that game.
Right.
Brooke Lopez had 26. Giannis had 34.
Al Horford hits 5 threes in a row.
Threes. You can go to Dallas. You have 2 guys with 40-plus points. So the Sixers are winning games. They're not playing much defense on this road trip. I think Ant Edwards should be able to do his thing. And I'm right there with you on the Joel. Watch him get him tonight out of some rare outlier just because God doesn't like this to see green.
The way it happens, right?
But no, I think everything points to Joel not hitting that mark tonight on the tail end of a back-to-back.
I am with you, man. Before we wrap this up, predictions and player of the game for you.
Yes, sir. So player of the game. Let me go with my prediction first. It depends a lot on who plays. I'm going to go with the Sixers loss. Ultimately, it sounds like PJ's going to play. No Harden. Maybe Embiid. We'll see. Obviously, nothing's been updated on the injury report, so I don't think he's out. But nonetheless, I'm going to go.
I have the starting lineup for you if you want it.
Oh, give it to me.
We are way off.
Really?
Both are back. Tobias Harris is back tonight.
Interesting. Okay, so Tobias is in the starting lineup.
Take away everything I said for the last 25 minutes. The Sixers have a hell of a chance to win this game. So
it's just Harden out.
Just Harden. Maxey, Melton, Tobias, PJ, and Embiid.
Okay. So, yeah, that makes me lean W, man. I'm not going to lie. Just the bodies, right? Like having those bodies available. They didn't play last night. So Tobias should be fresh. PJ should be fresh. I was going to go with the loss just because of the lack of bodies, lack of starters. I'm going to go with the W, though, man. I think they once again opened some eyes and kind of turned some heads with a W.
Those two had the night off last night.
It is on national television, right? It's on national television, so you don't want to go out there and get embarrassed on live TV. Go out there and get this W tonight. I do like that. I'm going to stick with my original player of the game. I'm going to go with Tyrese Maxey. Once again, he's still the young guy, and he's just been on a heater the last few games. T will still win. Hey, Davey, maybe they do, maybe they don't. It's not a huge deal if they do. If you think they win, I'm interested to know why you feel so strongly about that, especially with the news that they're back in the lineup. But yeah, I mean, I get it. It's probably a 50-50.
Or it's just a T-Wolves fan.
Yeah, maybe a T-Wolves fan. I don't know. It's
some optimism.
I'm trying to read some signs here to see what it is. But nonetheless, appreciate the comments either way, Davey.
Yeah,
what
man.
You got, man.
I'm with you. I think the Sixers now, after seeing the starting lineup, it's never going to be easy to win road games without James Harden. Obviously, those 20 assists are going to have to come from elsewhere. Those 38 points 2 games ago is going to have to come from elsewhere. But having PJ Tucker and Tobias Harris, having that leadership back, having 2 fresh bodies back that did not have to play last game. Clearly, their injuries were not as extensive or serious as anyone may have thought. They missed 1 game, a game and a half, right? So it changes my opinion completely as it does yours. I think the Sixers win tonight and kind of on TNT, on that national platform, as you mentioned, go out and sweep this little road stand past the Dallas Mavericks mark, right? You go 4-1 in Miami, Dallas, Milwaukee, Indiana, and Minnesota. It's pretty effing impressive. And I think it'll just bring the fan base more on board than they already were over the last couple of nights. Sixers win this one. My player of the game, I got to go with Tyrese Maxey, man. I think that youth, that spring out of him, that energy, and just his ability to score at will. You don't have James Harden setting up the offense. I think he has the ball in his hands a lot more. He's going to get downhill, get to the rim. That'll open up shots on the perimeter for him when guys start to lay off of him a bit with that speed. Maxey points, obviously, we know as a best bet. Maxey, my player of the game.
I love it. Obviously, I had Maxey as well. Wolves are on fire right now. Hey, I feel that at the end of the day, there's always a counter argument for everything. The Bucks came in on a 17-game winning streak.
I mean, can I be honest with you? They're 5-5 in their last 10.
5-5 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row.
Yeah. No, I got you. I'm just saying, I don't know if that's on fire.
It's a counter argument for everything, right? Maybe they stay and they streak it to 4, but maybe that's the end of their streak. Maybe
right.
The 4th time's the charm tonight. I'm gonna ride with the. Oh no. Okay. Now we're seeing where you are coming from. No. Locking Maxey up, no. He's going to score 20 plus. You can lay that as a best bet, Davey. Yeah, we see which side of the tread you're on, man. No. We're gonna go with Sixers even harder now tonight. What's up, Abe? Thanks for checking in, man. We're about to sign off for the night, but definitely appreciate you. Davey, second best team since January. All right. We'll see, Davey. Our Jaden. Hey, we have a Jalen. We have Jalen McDaniels. They got the Jaden McDaniels, which I'm pretty sure they're brothers, right?
Yeah.
They gotta be. Yeah, they look.
You have brother versus brother tonight, and you have father versus son with Doc and Austin Rivers.
Austin Rivers.
So some family ties in this one in Minnesota tonight. But with that said, Scotty, that is going to wrap up this edition of DSM Pregame Live. Guys, don't forget to check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is where we stream exclusively all of our pregame shows. For myself, for Scotty, for the rest of DSM Media, have a great rest of your night.
Let's go Sixers.
And Philadelphia has it.